You are tuning in to Jon Pierre and Mary's fun-loving, crazy, and honest podcast.
If it don't smell bad, it must be clean.
Unequally Yoked, where any and every topic, life,
Marriage.
I'll go first because I have something to say.
Uh-oh.
kids, and entrepreneurship are up for discussion.
How does Mary, a pastor's daughter,
And Jon, a guy who rarely saw the inside of a church growing up, get together
No.
and stay together.
We all have roles.
what does life look like 10 plus years into marriage?
2 kids and trying to run a family business.
How do we keep this nest egg from cracking?
What you mean?
Listen in to Unequally Yoked as we dive in to give a man
Next. And a woman's perspective
Somebody back me up on
Nobody.
to all the topics married folks are talking about.
this. Are you ready?
Let's do this, boo.
What's going on, y'all? We are back for episode number 6 of Unequally Yoked with Jon Pierre and Mary and Sean and Bridget.
Yes.
DJ Horn.
Which means
Drink.
we have to take a drink.
Oh.
So luckily we're already
Cheers.
prepared, and this is what working for yourself, self-employment looks like.
Right.
Y'all wondering while we drinking during the daytime because we're self-employed and we can do that.
This is not
Basically.
true.
This is
This is not what
cheers.
it looks like.
Sure. Well, that's one. Anyways, welcome to Unequally Yoked.
Cheers.
friends.
Cheers.
Yes.
Oh, touch.
Because what
Sorry.
we're gonna talk about, we're gonna need a drink. Here we go.
So,
Lovely.
before we get started, social media tag time.
Yes. Thank you guys, of course, for tuning in once again. Follow me on Mary TJP.
Jon Pierre, TJP.
I'm at My Four Walls Decor on Instagram.
And Chap, what do you have?
What about your businesses?
I've got some businesses.
So
let's
let's
give it
talk
all.
about them.
Let's give it all.
What are those?
I do a joyful pool, swimming pool, maintenance repair, especially for investors, realtors, that type of thing.
Good
All
job.
things.
The citywide party rentals, moonwalks, water slides, obstacle courses, dunk tanks, all that good stuff.
Good.
All the fun stuff.
A1 Auto Masters, Hypothesis Haven. A1 Auto Masters is a full-service auto repair shop on the Beltway between West Little York and Tanner. Hypothesis Haven is a after-school summer program where we are creating the innovative thinkers of tomorrow.
Ooh.
That's
Sounds like
HH
a
Psych
hustle.
Club on Instagram. SCI Psych Club. HH Psych
Yeah.
Club.
That's a lot.
Hey, this is entrepreneur goals right here. It's like an empire.
Something like
I was working hard. I'm not working hard at all.
John got 5 jobs, Chap has 10.
We're
He wins. It's a competition.
He's got $2, I got $1.
Well, I think because they don't know that working for yourself means if you don't work, as in what we're not doing right now,
Right.
you don't get paid. So follow us all on our social media, okay?
Right. Yes.
So we want to talk about the agenda because I feel like they don't really know why they're here.
They do not know.
Bless
on over,
their
no problem.
hearts. Yeah, just come on over to our house and talk about
And see what
being
happens.
unequally yoked, which is what we are. People have been asking us, how does it work being unequally yoked?
Because I've never asked, but I wanted to.
Okay. And having children, meaning, I guess in a religious sense, when people talk about being unequally yoked, it's just having different beliefs. Like this whole idea that 2 people that come from 2 different ways of life can't coexist. Like you can't be successful in a marriage or even a family. And what we're talking about and why we brought you guys here. Sorry. How long have you guys been married, first of all?
12 plus years. Yeah.
Wow.
How many children?
We have 3 kids. We have 2 daughters. They are 9 and 7, and then our son is 4 years old.
Wow. Bless your But y'all have helpful. They're older. So they can help.
But they've already been through it.
Well, but they're all born, like literally our oldest and our youngest are almost exactly 5 years apart, 5 years and 1 day apart.
Wow.
And then our middle daughter is 2.5 years like below and above the others. So literally,
Oh, they're like right.
we had 3 under 5 for like,
Yeah.
A good little bit of time. That's
So,
crazy.
yeah.
Would you guys declare yourselves unequally yoked, meaning that you have different beliefs?
Oh yeah, I would say
Yeah,
that.
kind of. But I mean, you mean in the religious sense, or you just mean in the? Okay, well, yeah. So
Yeah.
that's
Well,
like a
for sure,
religious
yeah.
term, yeah. So yeah, because the funny thing is, even though we're both Christian, we were raised differently, and we have different. I mean, Not so much for me, because I feel like I'm a lot more relaxed in my Christianity. Yes, and what I mean by that is that I don't necessarily feel like denominations are so important to me. I'm not. I don't go to the church the type of denomination I was raised in.
Okay.
But I don't feel like certain things that are set forth in religions, like this religion can't wear hats, this one religion the women can't wear dresses. I'm just like, where does all this come from?
Right.
That's man-made. I don't need to get into all of that.
But what about you? Because I thought you were Catholic.
I thought I was too. So yes, I was really Catholic for the first 18 years of my life. I went to the University of Houston, and I found Good News Gospel Choir, a great community for me to be a part of. But it was a non-denominational group. It was mostly Protestant people in there, a lot of Baptists, really.
Yeah.
Methodists, whatever. But, so that was essentially a family for me. I didn't, that was my group. And then I felt like, hey, Jesus is all that really matters. When my kids were born, I started asking more questions, because now it matters. Now it actually matters. So we're talking about worldview. And then when my daughter turned 3, she asked me, did dinosaurs come before Adam and Eve? I'm like, well, hold on.
Here we go.
That's a great question.
So we're going to jump right in. I'm going to stop you there. Because we're already starting off real good.
Yeah, it's good.
And which is great.
Yeah.
But one thing I want to talk about, last week we had homework. Our homework was to create a mission statement for our family.
Oh,
Okay. Did we do the homework? Yes and no. We researched.
Wait, hold on.
It's a lot more complex than
I know it's your
seems.
show, but if you did a mission statement, you would have a mission statement.
Well,
I like that black and white right there. You either did it or you didn't.
and this is why y'all are friends.
I'm just saying. I'm not saying you didn't do anything, but if you didn't come up with one, then the answer is no.
Then I guess
We did
it's
not
no.
finish it, but we got on the right track.
We did some work.
We did some work.
After we did our research, it's a lot more complex than you would think.
Yeah, it is.
Like, it's not something that because we're saying this is for our family. You know, just like businesses have, mission statements for their employees. We're saying this is what we want our children, since we are unequally yoked. We're saying this is what is going to bridge that gap and bring us all on the same page. Yeah,
so like the values that you make sure that all the values that each of you have are conveyed to the kids.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we did do some of the work. We started writing down what's important to us and what it is that we want our children to see every day.
Yeah.
So you asking those questions to yourself, because we all kind of have that spiritual journey, except John.
Well, that's not fair.
Well,
Thank you, sir.
John hasn't had a. Have you had a spiritual journey?
Listen, I'll say he has a journey in acknowledging. And now he has to.
Can you let the man that's known me for 20 plus years? Can he get a word in?
I'm saying he had a journey in that.
Was Christ involved in his journey?
I would say there's a journey to be had whether Christ is involved or not.
I didn't say he didn't have a journey.
But
I said he didn't have a spiritual journey.
I'm saying spiritually, he's gone from clearly, I believe, nothing. There's no God.
Right.
He's talked about, evaluated, considered, concluded. There's still no God. But that's a journey.
I was going to try to insert myself in there and get some credit. I thought she was going to end on now he is a believer, but we're not there yet.
That's not the truth.
That's
So,
not-
That's still a journey,
There's
though.
still a journey in that, though.
It's a journey to start where you were and still be where you were.
Yes,
Well,
that's like if you go
did
to
the
New
steps.
Orleans.
What steps?
Wait,
I mean,
listen.
to explore it further, so at least you can defend it, I guess.
Yeah.
Then you
Yeah,
just-
if you go to New Orleans and come back, you at home.
It's a
but
journey.
you took a journey.
It's a great analogy.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. That's
But when he went on that journey, because when I go on road trips,
Okay.
the first thing that I do is I pray to Jesus to help me make it there. and back.
Bring a souvenir.
You know, like
He didn't
I
bring nothing back on the perfect
He
journey.
didn't bring nothing back on his journey.
He
Not
don't
a
have no good
postcard.
memories.
So what I was saying was, when you go 1, 2, 3 on a spiritual journey,
Yes.
okay.
What happens?
Well, you don't. I feel like when we evolve.
Yes.
So what happens is when we have children, especially, bringing it back to our children, we start asking more questions. Now, last week we were talking about first dates kind of a thing. Like when you start dreaming. And
your nose wide open?
No. So John didn't know what nose wide open meant.
Never heard that in my life. Never heard that in my life.
Special individual. Hey, we don't. We love
from
John.
the South.
Except for H-Town.
Except for
Right?
Yeah.
Your nose is wide open, huh?
And when you start dreaming about that person that you're going to end up with, did you guys have, not on your first date, but did you guys have a conversation before you got married on how it is that you want to raise your kids?
Kind of. I mean, we definitely went to premarital counseling before we got married.
The funny thing about that was our premarital counseling was called Saving Your Marriage Before It Starts. And there was like 8 couples in there. And we were the only people who weren't married.
Yeah, that was us.
Oh, really?
That's
cool.
Everybody else was actually married. It's cool. They were going to premarital counseling.
Yeah, after they got married.
After they got married.
No, I'm saying it's cool for y'all.
Yeah, but I don't know that they really got into kids because it's just like they just can't cover everything.
Right,
I really don't think we got into the kids stuff. At least
So
not
did
like
you guys
we
have
needed
to figure that out on your own, being that you were raised Catholic, but you then found a family home.
So I didn't finish that part because maybe my defense of John wasn't so altruistic, right? It's possible.
Oh God, they are friends. They're using words I don't know. Altruistic. Hold on. Alexa. Kidding.
So it's possible that I took this journey and started coming back and like, wait, this church has been here for 2,000 years. These others been here for 500 years. I'm going back home. So I ended up, so from 18 to 29, I was just Jesus.
Gotcha.
And then start asking more questions. And then the non-denominational concept makes 0 sense to me. Like,
right.
I can't even understand how, like, no matter what you think, like, everybody has whatever they think. Like, so if we're all in this place together, and you think something, and you think something, and you think something, like, there's a place that actually everybody could be thinking the same thing. Whatever you think is, like, that's your group. So if you think what all of the Methodists think, that's your church, whether you go to a non-denominational church or not, to me. And
Gotcha.
so, like, I'm like, my thoughts take me back over here. So, I am Catholic. And after
all that. After New Orleans.
Yeah, I went
stopping at Lake Charles.
I took some pictures.
Right.
I got souvenirs.
Back to where you started.
Gotcha. You're back where you started. But you...
And I know it now. I didn't know it before.
So you being Catholic and you being Christian, when you had your...
the hard thing about it was I was raised Catholic at first. So from I had my first communion, so that's when you're about 8 or so. But then my parents switched to like an apostolic church.
Okay.
And not just apostolic, but like I'm Nigerian, so it was like culturally different than what you would think of as an American apostolic church. So, I mean, we had like speaking in tongues and you're praying for like an hour or more. And you're getting really live and it's just very energetic. And so for me, I gravitate to churches where there's like a lot of like emotion, a lot of like music.
You want somebody to run.
No. They don't have to run.
She
no.
wants to avoid the rush.
I want to avoid the running.
I want to see all of the running. I want to
Speaking in tongues.
And put the sheep over the... I want all of that.
And see,
I want the...
yeah, and so that's what I was raised around. And so without all that, but with just the music and the energy. So when I go to churches, I mean, we go to Baptist church now. Yeah. And I just like the choir, the music, all of that.
And y'all go together.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
So here's the thing. So
let's back up.
Is where the unequal
child is born.
Mm-hmm.
The child is born. Your first child is born. When did you say, today is Monday and we didn't go to church yesterday? How are we going to raise this child?
So
I don't even understand that.
Well,
concept.
we had a problem.
We don't. Okay.
Christening and stuff. Yeah. So that's what happened to y'all.
Well, what happened was, by the time I had Harper, I was already like...
I'd already infected her.
Okay,
and that is the key word.
Infected.
But he also
with your unbelief
opened my eyes, right? Because I grew up in a very strict, if you go to church, that's how you see Jesus, okay? You don't see Jesus nowhere else but the church. And one day, one day, you know, because I was infected with John, nose wide open. Whoa, you know what I'm saying? I'll see all up in there, you know. I woke up late, and I felt like he was sabotaging me because he made me go out and have drinks.
People sabotage. It was the devil. It was the devil.
You know what I'm saying?
He can use anyone.
I woke up
love
late.
you. Like, oh yeah.
And I was really upset. Like, I was like, man.
So you never missed church?
No, but here's the thing. When I was going to church, and John will tell you, because he actually came a couple times, because he's a good sport. That's, John.
So that's the journey.
Well, because he's open, and I would love to have lived the life that he lived, to have the freedom of thought that he has.
Yeah.
That's what really attracted me to John. Still to this day, is that he don't care what nobody thinks, and he's just living.
Just
where
living.
I feel
well, part of that is worldview, right?
Yeah.
Because John thinks there's no God. He thinks we all came from water or whatever, and then he's just gonna die and he's gonna go. I mean, and then he's gonna die and it's gonna be over.
Yeah.
So just living is actually part of worldview, which is why this matters.
Yeah.
It's worldview. It's like, hey, this is the way I think, so I'm just living my life.
Yeah.
And when it's over, it's over.
Yeah. Well, that day, when I was sad that I didn't go to church, he asked me, he was like, well, why can't you just get down and pray right here?
Yeah.
And I was like,
okay.
I don't know.
Because your church wasn't like that.
Yeah.
Well, it just, because you don't even, the concept never even came to me to open my mind up to the possibility that he is everywhere. He is, like, I can get down right here and pray and he will still hear me.
Yeah.
Well, what?
You know, which was like, you know, it really opened my mind.
Right, I
You know
remember
what I'm
that,
saying?
I remember that.
And so I had already, by the time I had Harper, was already like, I can have a relationship with God and it could be outside the church, right? But I still have guilt that on Sundays we wake up and watch the Texans game instead of, going to church. But so what are our kids going to believe? Like, this is where we are now.
I would say
where are our kids going to believe in?
I would say, so his idea seems fair, but
what, watching football on Sunday?
No, but
you can Jesus is wherever you are.
Wherever you are.
Yeah.
But still, I think from the Bible side, since he's not going to present that one, you know, we call him Doubting Thomas because he missed the assembly. He wasn't there when Jesus came back. Everybody else saw Jesus when he came back.
The disciple,
Yeah, he was at the assembly. They were at the assembly. Thomas missed. He missed Jesus coming back.
So there's power in community.
There's a reason to be there.
And that's right. And so I'm big, like, I think that's a big deal. You know, for me, the semantics of all those things, I think there is power. And that was one of the things that so
the community matters.
Yeah, the community matters.
Whether he was there or not. You don't care about Jesus.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, this is your tribe.
Right.
Tribe with them.
The story you're telling is the community is important, right? And so for me, like, that's a big deal. One of the first times I ever went to her church, and, you know, she'd given me this, like, unbelievable, like, right, this church
indoctrination.
It's really, really, like, strict and all that kind of stuff, right? But we went to a funeral, man, and I forgot who had passed away, but
Sister Jennifer, she used to make amazing white beans.
yeah. So and this is at their old church. Yeah, this is their old church, right? And so, man, that funeral, I don't even know what to call it, but whatever that was, it was a homegoing. So that was like the closest thing I've ever seen to heaven on earth. Like there were so many people joyous and like having a great time singing, bringing up her past memories, all that kind of stuff. Like, to me, I understood in that moment, right, white beans. In that moment, I could see and understand the feeling of what community is, right, around a sad moment. And for that part,
but then it was offering time, and you was like, "What's happening?"
The whole third offering. He's like, "How come the offering we gonna take?"
That is false. but
about the third offering, or the first one?
He's like, "You giving that much?"
All right. I was like, but I was like, man, I walked out of there and I was I was really impressed, and I felt the love that it was in the space, right?
Jesus.
And that so she told me
the Holy Spirit.
The Holy Spirit.
The Holy Ghost.
All
And so that reinforced the idea that I had, because I'm pretty stubborn in my ideas in general. So, but in that moment, I was like, man, I could see and I could feel what being in a church and being in that kind of space can allow for in terms of acceptance and stuff like that. So that was a really big deal. I thought that in that moment. So now when I look back on it, and you bringing up that moment about you can just pray where you are, I still believe you can pray where you are.
Which we agree on,
right?
To be clear.
But I also see that there is a benefit to going to a place and being in a community of not necessarily like-minded individuals, but just the idea of believers in space of love and stuff like that. So I think both are possible.
So what was it like? Obviously, Jon's deal breakers think breath, but what ultimately made you guys say, okay, he believes this, she believes that, but it's okay, we're going to figure it out?
I don't think we actually had that.
It wouldn't have happened, right?
Well, I mean, being a Christian, right?
Well, no, because when we met, I'm 25, she's 24. At that point, I'm in my Jesus stage. So when the kids come, is when I'm like, well, so
now you got to come back.
Now I got to come back. Now I got to evaluate. Before it didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Now it matters.
Because we didn't christen our oldest, which I think is a big thing. And
for me is
Catholic.
Be baptized in the step and we
But the way I was raised, you were baptized when you were old enough yourself to make a decision, not as a So I was like, oh.
Yeah. You're like whatever.
And for me, it's like a part of salvation. And I'm like, for I don't know, now 8-9 years, just trying to keep my babies alive till they get baptized. I don't want them to die. I'm just covering up with bubble wrap, except for I don't, right? I don't really protect them at all. I love them super.
So it's just the differences in the denominations, and I mean we've had so many different conversations about it, and we actually didn't go to a Catholic church when the kids were born. We went to I guess it was a Baptist church. Mm-hmm. But I mean, we've tried different churches, and we just really haven't still, after 12 years, gotten to the point where we found one that we both can feel comfortable. But
so it's an ongoing journey.
It's a journey, and that's what for me, it is journey. So and here's why it's actually, I worry more about me and my wife than our kids, because our kids, we teach them whatever we teach them, they fly, and they build their own thing. What I worry, but they're going to be gone, and Sean's 14, so, he's Sean's 4, so he goes to college in 14 years, 15 years. Mm-hmm. Me and my wife still got 50 years together. We got a long-term lease, so the way it works is up to 70.
It's a mortgage you never pay off.
No. Ours is actually a long-term lease. We at 73 we can do a year annual renewal.
A renewal.
This is new.
Let's just this is news. Okay, what is this? What are they talking about?
Step your game up. I'm saying for my kids, it doesn't matter to me as much that the stuff that I believe, everything she believes is inside of it, except for the baptism thing, which I feel like, if they stay alive long enough, then they can get baptized with their own decisions anyway. So in the end, their religion is going to be their own.
Yes. So it's like Jon's theory of getting ears pierced. So we had a huge debate, just like Santa. We had a huge debate about, because we had a girl first. I thought I was a boy mom. Thought I was going to have all boys so I could be a queen.
Surprise.
Okay. We had all our names, football names, good American names. Yeah. And we had a girl first. And it's like, oh, the bows. And she's like, all the princess stuff, which she totally is. But I was like, I want to get her ears pierced when she's a baby. And she doesn't remember it. And she won't, the pain. And Jon's like, no, she need to remember that pain. And she need to be able to make her own decisions about when she put holes in the body.
Well,
100%.
I'm not sure.
But why? It's not it's temporary. Permanent, like a tattoo or something. Trying to tattoo the baby.
It's all the same. Yeah, I think anytime if you're gonna make a choice to change your own body, You got to be able to deal. You need to deal with whatever the consequences.
I just thought of
are
something.
that.
So the circumcision thing, which again, like so many of these things are cultural. It's just like, okay, we're just doing it. We're moving on. No, but I get that people can go into that.
That whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. What are you about to say, Shep? Go ahead.
No, I would say the ear pierce thing was a thing in our house too, and I was like,
was it?
They
I
just,
didn't notice.
Yeah.
Because they got theirs.
Yeah, she just came back with ear piercing. Like, hey, I got it.
But I didn't even realize that was a thing to talk about.
Just go.
It's weird because they don't think about those things until it
No.
happens.
I was thinking about it. I thought
Before it
about
happened?
I thought about it. I didn't
You
talk
wanted
about
to
it.
be
Oh,
included
wow.
in the
Yeah.
process.
Oh,
You didn't talk about it. Well, that's
showed up on what?
To me, that was like just
normal.
what the women do.
Yeah, you just
They
do
pierce
it.
the ears, and
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure my
And
mom
we
probably
talked
pierced ours at
about
home with the
Yeah,
needle.
y'all
and
talk. Hey,
I
The
know
needle?
something
Yeah.
probably and some thread.
Yeah.
So.
You talked
I didn't do
about
that.
You talked about that.
Oh, we did talk about that because you were like, "No, you're not."
That will not happen.
Do it by yourself.
What we're not doing is
You're
Like
somebody
they-
in the family pierced my child's ears.
Oh,
Let's
no.
say that.
that's
Ooh,
out.
that's-
Someone took Claire's.
So then one day she went to like
Claire's, yeah.
just came back to Claire's.
What happened here? What is this? What is this? Yeah.
But you have two daughters back to back, so you weren't ready for the second one?
No, well after the first one we had a discussion.
Okay, there was a discussion.
There was a
I don't remember any of this.
Well,
You see how much
yeah.
It doesn't matter now.
Yeah.
It impressed upon you enough that the second time that we agreed that it was happening. So it was like
Yeah, so you made you guys
it
made
was
that
fine
adjustment.
to do it the second. Like it was fine to do it the way we did it.
Mhm.
It wasn't fine for me to see the ears pierced because we had
Absolutely.
talked about it happening two different ways. I'm like,
Yeah.
hey,
Well, I see
like-
that it kind of like piggybacking on the whole unequally yoked thing from a religious perspective. We're actually two different cultures as well,
Yeah.
and so that also
adds another
Yeah,
another
because-
element. Yeah.
that's just
And-
understood in my culture.
and,
Yeah.
I'm married man from single mother,
Mm.
which is
Oh, and that's a big one too.
Totally.
Yeah,
I think this is
family
a good place to
dynamics,
stop,
right?
Because we're about to run out of time, but I knew this was going to be a two-part thing. Because it really, I feel like we haven't even...
We haven't even got to. I think some of the cool things that I pulled away just from this little bit here is, number one, you made reference to being in a certain spot whenever you guys started dating, and then being in another spot whenever you had kids, and then even being in another spot now, right? And so I think it's cool to just to recognize that even when you're married to the same person, that person changes, and so your marriage changes over time.
That's
Right. And then secondly, I didn't even think about the fact that we started this talking about religion, but you're also talking about different cultures, and you're talking
different backgrounds.
and then different backgrounds
Yeah.
and different upbringings, and so all these different levels that make a relationship unique, any person's relationship unique, and then to see you guys go through all these different things, but you're still here, right? You're still fighting the good fight. So I think it's pretty cool to see how, as a model of everyone that's out there looking for a relationship, thinks that a relationship is what it's going to be when you find it.
No change.
Right.
And in the end, that relationship is going to change just like every other relationship in the
Right.
prior to marriages. And so I think that's a really cool little nuggets for myself.
So what do you say we refill our glasses,
Uh-oh.
we take a break?
I got to fill
I
mine
don't
first.
want to refill my
Well, let's just drink it because I think we're going to have to do a part 2 while we have them here and just go into the next episode of Unequally Yoked. Y'all down for it?
Yep.
It's all good.
All right. Cool. Cheers. We haven't had a DJ horn since the beginning.
I know, right? Because I didn't get to drink and I wanted to.
Stay tuned, guys.
Social media tags,
Sorry, I was drinking. Mary, TJP.
Jon Pierre, TJP.
At my 4 walls of corn, that's the number 4.
I think that's enough.
Yep. We're all up in here. Stay tuned. We have part 2 coming up. Unequally Yoked.
There we go. There we go. That was fun, y'all. That was
Yeah.
great.